on today's episode of Yeah, That's a Thing That Exists, this guy, a Nematodinium. Nematodinium are a type of dinoflagellate, a single-celled eukaryote that is usually found in marine plankton. These guys are interesting. They are part of the Warnoaceae family, which is known for being a group of dinoflagellates that have, basically, eyes. All groups in this family, these guys included, have a functional ocelloid, which is basically the single-celled version of an eye. It has structures that are very, very similar to the retina, cornea, and lens seen in more complicated eyes. These ocelloids are light-sensing organs that only sense polarized light as it's filtered through other dinoflagellates, which is very specific but very interesting because these guys are typically predatory, so they prey on other smaller dinoflagellates. So this makes it very, very easy for these guys to catch their prey. These Nematodinia are also quite interesting because they have nematocysts, or stinging structures, which is where they get the name Nematodinia from. Now, we don't know a whole lot about this family in general because they are very hard to study. They are very rarely found in the wild, they're not super common at all, and they're very, very difficult to keep and study in a lab setting because they need very specific conditions. They will not reproduce in the lab, and they usually just die, so they are very, very hard to study. But what we do know is that this fully functional ocelloid is capable of sensing light, basically in the same way that a multicellular eye would, and is used for similar functions. Now, sight is not something that you would typically associate with a single-celled organism, much less a dinoflagellate. But what is extra cool about this is that the ocelloid itself is endosymbiotic, meaning it's made up of a bunch of other junk that is not produced by the single cell itself. The structure analogous to the retina of the eye is called a melanosome, and this melanosome does not originate from inside this cell. It's not grown from this cell. Instead, likely, it was taken up by this cell eating some sort of red algae and taking components called plastids from that red algae and incorporating them into their own cell to make this retina-like structure. Similarly, the structure that is analogous to the cornea of the eye is also endosymbiotic, being taken up of mitochondria. Now again, these mitochondria are not produced by the cell, they are taken up from the environment to kind of form together and make this cornea structure. Now if you're familiar with the endosymbiotic theory, this is quite similar to how we think that we got our mitochondria. All the way back when we were our own single-celled life forms, we took up another smaller bacteria, and instead of digesting it, we just incorporated it into our own cell, and it stayed there ever since. And that is how we got our mitochondria. We know them, we love them, it's the powerhouse of the cell, and that is likely what happened with these guys to how they got their cornea. It's made up of just ingested and incorporated mitochondria. All in all, these guys are quite weird, quite interesting. I don't know if I like the fact that a single cell has pretty much a fully functional eye that's not really an eye, but either way, it is very interesting.